We're heading back to the West Kingdom to build some more. This is our review of the Works of Wonder expansion.
The Works of Wonder expansion adds even more mechanics to the worker placement game Architects of the West Kingdom, and I always enjoy the new stuff they add to this series.
This is the second and final expansion to Architects, and it ties everything together to become a rich and complex game, and we'll tell you all about it after this quick how to play.
The setup and rules are basically the same as the base game, with the following changes.
Works of Wonder adds an influence track to the game that players can advance on and then spend in place of gold, marble, 2 coins, or 1 virtue loss.
There is also a princess and profiteer character added that will offer benefits and disadvantages to certain locations.
The princess and the profiteer change locations during the black market reset.
And there are 5 special buildings called Wonders. They come at a high cost, but offer a lot of points and a bonus ability at a certain location on the board.
Contributions can be added to Wonders during turns, and when contribution cards fill up, it triggers a black market reset, causing those to happen more often.
The endgame is still triggered by filling up the guild hall, and the player with the most points at the end of the game wins.
This is the second expansion to Architects of the West Kingdom. We played the first one, Age of Artisans, and I really enjoyed that one, but I don't feel like it added that much to the game to make me feel like it totally changed the game completely. However, if you take that one and this one and combine them with the base game, overall, it's a totally different game experience from the base game, and I think that this is a much more rich and complex game as far as making decisions, being super complicated, trying to figure everything out, having a lot of options to get points, slowing the game down so that everyone has time to build stuff and earn points as you're going along. There's just so much that the 2 expansions added together to the base game add to the game.
Whenever we get expansions to games that we like or play a little more often than others, I kind of like to focus on, what are the new things here? So like you have your Wonders or the Princess and Profiteer. So I think mostly my strategy for the game is, okay, let me exploit or capitalize more on those things than however I used to play the game. It offers a bit more strategy and just kind of, I don't know, it's a fun new thing to do.
To oversimplify it, this expansion basically adds 3 new mechanics to the game. You have the Profiteer and the Princess, you have the Wonders, and then you have the Influence track. The Profiteer and the Princess add a couple little mechanics on the locations. The Wonders are basically just buildings, but they do add a special ability when you place them at a location. The biggest difference with this is the Influence track. As you go up it, you can then spend those influence as marble, or as gold, or 2 coins, or instead of a virtue loss. So you don't have to place so many workers in the mines to get gold. You can just gain influence and then spend that for gold later on down the road. So you can be more efficient with your workers while you're playing, depending on which strategy you're going after.
With the influence track, I found it very helpful because playing the base game or the first expansion, I'm always just like, oh, if only I had that, if I just had that one more thing, then I could do this and like, it might change things. With the influence track, it kind of helps you with that because you don't have to waste a worker or waste a whole turn where you're just like, fine, okay, I need that thing, so I gotta do this right now. This helps a little bit and then it just adds a little bit more flavor.
Another minor mechanic that this adds is when you're able to give a contribution to the Wonders, there's a contribution card, so you can place different items here to go up on the influence track or get other bonuses on the more expensive items that you can place there. And I like this because when this fills up, it triggers a black market reset. And in the base game, and even when you add the expansion, you don't really trigger that many black market resets unless you're purposely trying to trigger it, like you're really going after the black market a whole lot. But in the games we play, we don't really trigger that often. But with this expansion, it was triggering a lot because everyone was adding the contributions to go up on the influence and spend the influence and try to lower the cost of the Wonders by adding the contributions. So we were triggering a lot of black market resets. And we were also capturing people and throwing them in jail to get the money for it. So there were always people ending up in jail. And because those people were in the jail, they ended up with debts. And the person who had the most had the more debts. And so I really feel like not only did this add more mechanics to the game with the 3 new things that it added, it also enhanced the other mechanics that were already in the game because you're using the black market reset more often, you're putting people in jail maybe even more often so that they can end up with debts. So I feel like it really made everything about the game that much better.
One thing I really like with the expansion is it changes the whole dynamic of play. Normally when playing the base game or the first expansion, we're always just rushing to build the cathedral, right? Everyone's just like, hurry up, collect and build, like everyone's going after that one strategy. However, with these new roles and with these new actions or mechanics, everyone can win a little bit different rather than rushing towards that. And I think actually when we played, the first couple rounds, no one really cared or did anything with the cathedral. We're all focused on the influence track and the wonders. We're like, ooh, okay, what's that?
This expansion adds a lot, but when playing with just the one expansion, it's not as good as when you play the whole thing all together. So whether it's the Age of Artisans expansion by itself or the Works of Wonder expansion by itself, alone with the base game, it adds a little bit of fun, but it doesn't add as much fun as when you play with everything all together.
All right, Kenny, so let me ask you. Overall, let's say we never played this before, you've just been reading about it online. Obviously, you're going to get the base game. Would you still get the first expansion and then the second, or would you play it out of order, knowing what you know now?
Oh, knowing what I know now, I would definitely, you'd buy everything together. So what we did is we backed the Works of Wonder expansion and we got the big box. So we put it all together, and that's how the game, I think, should be. Yes, they came out with it and they probably thought of the expansions as they were going along, but I think all three of them together is really, that's what the game should have been. So it really does transform the game. And this is the way that I would recommend a board gamer to play this game. So you should really get the big box, put it all together, make it one regular game. And the mat is nice too, because instead of having the cardboard and then you have the added expansion on top of the cardboard, and then this one has an added piece of cardboard that goes on the side. The mat, which we aren't normally big fans of, we don't normally tell you to get mats. This one, it's worth it to get the mat when you're playing with all three expansions. I do wish they would have created a box that the mat fit in or did something. I know that would create a really big box, but that is my one gripe about everything that comes with the big box, is that yes, you need the mat, yes, you want the big box, but you still end up carrying the mat like separately with the box. So I don't know, just...
Overall, when it comes to artwork and theming, it's still on point. I'm still going to give this a high score. I love the wonders being added and the princess and profiteer just because it adds a little bit more mechanics and, it adjusts the gameplay and strategy a little bit so that we're not all doing the same thing. So I think I gave Architects an 8. I'll probably still give this, well, I think it made it better. So let's say 8.5, 9.
Overall, I really enjoyed this expansion adding to the overall experience. Again, by itself, it's not as fun as when you add everything together. I think you have to play this game with both expansions and their base game all together. Then it becomes a full rich game that I think is going to be a lot of fun for board gamers of all age levels, of all board game types. Originally, I gave the base game of Architects an 8. I think I gave the Age of Artisans an expansion an 8 as well with it, because I don't really think it changed the game all that much. However, I think if you take both of those and add the Works of Wonder expansion, this game becomes a 10 for me. Base game by itself, still an 8. All three together, when you play with everything, then it's a 10. And that was our review of the Works of Wonder expansion.
What'd you think? How do you like to play it? Just the base game 1 expansion, or everything all together? Let us know in the comments below.
And if you're enjoying our content, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you want to see any more of our West Kingdom reviews and unboxings, check out the links in our description below.
Until next time, I'm Lee.
I'm Kenny. I go party like a board gamer.